3. Assalamualaikum. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us here in this video presentation. On this occasion, we will explain to you about how to do daily or 10 hours preventive maintenance on Backhoe loader type Caterpillar units. Let me introduce our group. We are from group 6 with 3 persons. The first it's me, Pinta Raharja, then Ridho Wibowo, and Saddam Nasrun. Okay. Thank you for joining in this presentation. I'm here today to talk to you about preventive maintenance on Backhoe loader Caterpillar. This presentation will only take around 15 minutes of your time. There are 4 main parts to my presentation. To begin with job separation, following that preparation, and then step by step, and last but not least, summary. Please hold your question until the end of our presentation. Please type your question on the comment below. Okay, firstly, let us explain what is PM or preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance is the regular and routine maintenance of equipment and asset in order to keep them running and prevent any costly and unplanned downtime from unexpected equipment failure. What does preventive maintenance include? In practice, a preventive maintenance schedule may include things such as cleaning, lubrication, oil change, adjustment, repairs, inspecting and replacing parts, and partial or complete overhauls that are regularly scheduled. On the Caterpillar, preventive maintenance is carried out in several stages, one of them at 10 hours or daily. And this topic, we will explain how to do daily or 10 hours PM, but before that, we will tell you what to do when doing daily PM in general. For doing daily PM. In general, there are several jobs for PM 10 hours or daily. The first is lubricate, testing, check and inspect, and drain. For preparation, what should we do when we must preparation? The first is literature. We use using SIS 2.0 and documentation. We must prepare JSA form, CC form, tools and consumable list, and one step form. The next is tool and consumable, hand tools, power tools, special tools, and etc. And the last is work area, save the area with safety lane, and the work area with safety area. The next is step by step will explain by Ridho Wibowo. Come on, Ridho.
Thank you, Pinta Raharja, for letting me continue the presentation. All right, next I will explain to you guys about step by step doing 10 hours preventive maintenance or daily PM. The first job we must do while doing daily PM is lubricate. There are many components that we must lubricate. First is backhoe boom, stick, bucket, and cylinder bearing. To lubricate it, make sure position the backhoe into the surface position there is sound above. You can see at the picture. Lower the bucket to the ground, relieve the hydraulic pressure. There are total of 31 grease fitting. You can see at the picture. Next. Okay, the next component is loader bucket, cylinder, and linkage bearing, or single tilt machine. There is a total of 8 grease fitting. You can see at the picture. After that, we must lubricate the loader bucket, cylinder, and linkage bearing or parallel lift machine. There is a total of 11 grease fitting that you can see at the picture. Next, we must lubricate loader bucket, cylinder, and the catch bearing or multi-purpose bucket. There is total of 6 grease fitting that you can see at the picture. After that, we must lubricate the swing frame and cylinder bearing. Make sure position the backhoe into the surface position that is shown above. You can see the picture. Lower the bucket to the ground, relieve the hydraulic pressure, and remove the load from the grease joints. First is apply lubricant to the grease fitting number 1 for the boom lock, and repeat for the opposite side. Second is apply lubricant to the grease fitting number 2 for the top swing pin. You can see the picture. Third is apply lubricant to the grease fitting number 3 for the bottom swing pin. And finally, apply lubricant to the grease fitting number 4 for the eye of the swing cylinder, and repeat for the other swing cylinder. After that, we must lubricate stabilizer and cylinder bearings. Make sure the position of the stabilizer as shown the picture. Apply lubricant to the grease fitting for the head end of the cylinder and the rod of end of the cylinder. Repeat for the other stabilizer. There is a total of 4 grease fittings. You can see at the picture. After we finishing lubricate, after that we must testing that will explain by Saddam Nasrun.
Thank you, Ridho Wibowo. Next, then we will do testing, and testing is part of preventive maintenance. We will use GUID Surface Information System Caterpillar 2.0. Right? Backup system alarm test. The step is turn the engine start switch K to on in order to perform the test. Number 2, apply the surface brake, move the transmission direction control lever to reverse position. Number 3, the backup alarm sounds immediately sounds. The backup alarm will continue to sound until the transmission direction control lever is moved to the neutral position or the forward position. Next, testing braking system. Surface brake holding ability test. The step is number 1, check the area around the machine. Make sure that the machine is clear of personnel and clear of obstacle. Number 2, test the brake on a dry level surface. And number 3, fasten the seat belt before you test the brake. And number 4, the following the test is used to determine if the surface brake is functional. This test is not intended to measure the maximum brake holding effort. The brake holding effort that is required to sustain a machine at a specific engine RPM varies depend on the machine. The variations are the difference in the engine setting, in the powertrain efficiency, and in the brake holding ability. Next. Okay, let's talk about testing braking system. Surface brake holding ability test. The step is number 1, start the engine, press the bucket slightly. Number 2, apply the surface brake, release the parking brake. Next, move the transmission control lever to turn speed forward. Number 4, gradually increase the engine speed to high idle. The machine should not move. Please the attention for you. If the machine begin to move, reduce the engine speed immediately and engage the parking brakes. Okay, number 5, reduce the engine speed to low idle. Move the transmission to neutral, engage the parking brakes, lower the bucket to the ground, stop the engine. Okay, still testing braking system. The point is secondary brake holding ability test. Uh, the step is number one, start the engine, raise the bucket slightly. Number two, engage the parking brake. Number three, move the transmission control lever to steer speed forward, then to neutral, then back to steer speed forward. Not attention for you. The parking brake indicator light should come on and the parking brake alarm shows if machine ground speed is above 6 km/h or 3.7 mph with the secondary brake still engaged. Number four, gradually increase the engine speeds to high idle. The machine should not move. If the machine begins to move, reduce the engine speed immediately and apply the surface brake pedal. And number five, reduce the engine speed, move the transmission to neutral, lower the bucket to the ground, stop the engine. Okay, we still talk about testing, testing, and the point is backup alarm test. Uh, what the steps? Step number one is turn the engine start switch key to on in order to perform the test. Number two, apply the surface brake, move the transmission direction control lever to reverse position. And number three, the backup alarm should immediately sounds. The backup alarm will continue to sound until the transmission direction control lever is moved to the neutral position or to the forward position. Okay, let's move to Ridho 3 Wibowo.
Okay, thank you, Saddam. I will continue the presentation. Next, I will talk about check and inspect. Next, we will talk about check and inspect about cooling system, coolant level. How to do it? First, the coolant tank is located on the left side of the machine. Move the backhoe to the transport position and lower the loader bucket to the ground. Two, turn off the engine. Wait about 5 minutes before you check the cooling system coolant level. Third is maintain the coolant level between the min mark and the max mark. Next is check and inspect the engine oil level. First, open the engine access door on the top of the machine. Second, while the engine is stopped, maintain the oil level between the add mark and the full mark on the engine oil dipstick. You can see at the picture, number one. Third, if necessary, remove the oil filler cap. Number two, you can see at the picture, and add oil. Number four, clean the oil filler cap and install the oil filler cap. Number five, close the engine access door. Next is check and inspect hydraulic system oil level. First, the side gate for the hydraulic tank is located on the left side of the machine. Move the backhoe to the transport position and lower the loader. Second, bucket to the ground. Third, turn off the engine, relieve the hydraulic pressure before you check the hydraulic system oil level. Four is maintain the hydraulic oil level in the side gates to the green area on the gates. Do not overfill the hydraulic tank. You can see at the picture. Next will be explained by Pinta.
Okay, thank you, Ridho Wibowo. I will explain for check and inspect the tire inflation. Measure the tire pressure on each tire. Tire inflation pressure for each application may vary. This tire inflation pressure should be obtained from your tire supplier. Inflate the tire if necessary. Refer to operation and maintenance manual. Tire inflation with air. The operating pressure is based on following condition: the weight of a ready-to-work machine at the front tires and at the rear tires, the rate payload, average operating condition. The next is transmission oil level. Check the transmission oil level while the machine is on a level surface. The loader should be resting on the ground. Open the engine access door on the top of the machine. Remove the dipstick or fill plug for the transmission. Ensure that the oil level is above the minimum oil level line on the safe to start side of necessary dipstick or fill plug. Add transmission oil if necessary. The next is cooling system coolant level. Start how to do check and inspect. The first is start the engine, run the engine for 1 minute. Running the engine allow the oil to circulate around the transmission oil cooler and torque converter and settle at the correct operation level. Maintain the oil level within the cross hatchet region on the check with warm oil side of the dipstick or fill plug when the transmission is warm and the engine is at low idle. Add transmission oil if necessary. Clean the dipstick or fill plug. Install the dipstick or fill plug. Next is cooling system cooling level. I'm sorry. We must check the seat belt. For the seat belt, always inspect the condition of the seat belt and the condition of the seat belt mounting hardware before you operate the machine. Replace any parts that are damaged or worn before you operated the machine. Inspect backhoe. Number 1, for wear or the damage. If the buckle is worn or damaged, replace the seat belt. Inspect seat belt for webbing that is worn or frayed. Replace the seat belt if the webbing is worn or frayed. Inspect all seat belt mounting hardware for wear or for damage. Replace any mounting hardware that is worn or damaged. Make sure that the mounting bolts are tight. If your machine is equipped with a seat belt extension, also perform this inspection procedure for the seat belt extension. Contact your CAT dealer for the replacement of the seat belt and the mounting hardware. The last step for doing the PM 10 hours is the drain the water separator. The water separator is located on the left-hand side of the engine compartment. For the step is loosen the drain valve on the bottom of the fuel filter. Allow the water and the sediment to drain into a suitable container. Tighten the drain valve. If the engine fails to start, change the fuel filter. If there is a power loss, change the fuel filter. That is all of the step-by-step for doing the job for PM 10 hours on backhoe loader Caterpillar. Okay, let's bring me to the end of our presentation. Let me give you some summary of what we've been talking about over the last 15 minutes. First, we must prepare any tools, safety, and literature according to the job. Second, we must doing the job based on literature. And last, finishing the job without any accident. And the preventive maintenance is include cleaning, lubrication, oil change, adjustments, repairs, inspecting, and replacing parts, and partial or complete overhauls that are regularly scheduled. Then for PM 10 hours, there are several jobs like as inspects, check, drain, and test. For the step-by-step, we must doing the step according based on literature. Okay, finally we get to the end of this talk. Thank you for listening. And if you have any question, I would be happy to answer them for the next meeting. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Have a nice day.
Nice to meet you. See you next time.